Good afternoon. I am Yavapai County Sheriff David Rhodes, and I want to take a moment to thank all the members of the community that are here. I want to thank all the dignitaries, the law enforcement, the different public safety agencies that are represented here, our elected officials, and I want to thank retired Sheriff Scott Masher and Steve Waugh, who are here today as well. To the Lopez family, the friends of Rick, Rick's colleagues at the YCSO, and to our community, there is nothing I'm going to be able to say here today that will repair the sudden hole in our hearts. I mourn with you for this loss. I, however, will add my faith to yours, that from this tragedy there will be a triumph, and in this darkness there will be light. It is Rick's life that will overshadow and persevere. Richard Dean Rodney Lopez, also known as Rick and Arlo, was born January 28, 1971 in Denver, Colorado. His end of watch was June 28, 2022. Rick is the 12th fallen deputy in the line of duty in the history of the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, and the first in 49 years. He is survived by his beautiful wife Kim, his daughters Anastasia and Katrina, his parents Harriet and Rod, and his brother Josh, who would say he was his best friend. As you heard, Rick began a career working at Safeway early in life, and after 21 years had achieved a well-paid position in management, much more well-paid than being a sheriff's deputy at the time. But that wasn't enough. He wanted something more in his life. He wanted a purpose-filled life. And in 2008, Rick decided he wanted to fulfill his lifelong goal and become a deputy sheriff. He began his career at the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office on January 17, 2008. During the next 14 years, Rick would serve many roles, including as a negotiator on the SWAT team, which he was very well known for. Field training officer, he was a detective in our criminal investigations, investigated major crimes, crimes against people, violent crime. He was a narcotics detective, and he was promoted to sergeant in 2018. Rick has a long list of professional accomplishments, but it's by far overshadowed by his community accomplishments. Many of these accomplishments have been come to known only since his passing. So many stories that we never knew because he never shared them about things that he did for people, but those people have come forward and told us these stories. Rick was an irreplaceable member of the YCSO. Kim, Katrina, Anastasia, I am so sorry. I was unable to prevent this. Rick received many citizen accommodations for the manner in which he treated people. As you heard, he used humor to diffuse tense situations. And people could sense that he genuinely cared. He was well known as a calming force and very level-headed. Rick cared about children. He never missed shot with a cop. And since his passing, the stories that I can tell you about Rick would fill an entire day. But you know, when I met him, I didn't know him. We met on the side of a road in the middle of the night, and he was just barely off of field training. He was so excited to be there. I had been working in this business for like 15 years at that point, and we were almost the same age, and he was acting like a rookie, like I did when I was 21. He was so excited. He had no regrets. And there's a story about, so many stories about Shop with the Cup. The little boy with the two siblings, and the kid got drawn, but his siblings didn't, and Rick learned that they were being cared for by their grandparents, and their grandparents, they didn't have means for a Christmas, and he made sure, along with Kim, that the whole family got a Christmas. They bought presents for everybody. His little boy, one Shop with the Cop, didn't show up. So they chased him down at his house, and his caretaker, his uncle, did not bring him. But they made sure that he got picked up. He drove, there was a broken down mom with small children there in Chino Valley, and he came upon him in a call for service, and he went home. They were from Tuba City, and their car was broke down. They didn't have a ride. He went home and got his personal car and drove them all the way to Tuba City. Kim did tell me, though, he routinely overspent on Shop with a Cop. There was, the donor's limit was no boundary for Rick. Whatever those kids wanted, they got. When we were spending time together at the Lopez house this week, I was struck by, in his man cave, he had a framed Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence. And the Constitution in the office of sheriff, law enforcement, the rule of law meant so much to him. And that's why he was here. Collage of family pictures that all just showed him doing all the things that he loved to do with his family. And for reasons unknown to me, a diehard Chicago Cubs fan. He had a framed Rhino Sandberg jersey. I asked her, why the Chicago Cubs? She said, well, when we're kids, WGN was the only channel on cable. That was the only team you could see. But I seem to remember being able to get TBS and seeing the Atlanta Braves as well. So he had a Terrell Davis Denver Broncos jersey that still had blood and spit and sweat on it. It was taken right off of the player's back when Kim was insistent to get that gift from him because this was so important to him and that jersey wasn't available. You heard from Sergeant Brazell about how he treated the people that worked for him here. But he was a hero. But not in the way that you see, not in the way that we look for on television, not in the way you look for in the movies. But he was somebody's hero every day. The scriptures tell us in the book of Matthew, so when you give to the needy, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by men. Truly, I tell you, they already have their full reward. Rick fully understood these words and lived by them, never seeking favor for his sacrifice. This is why this hurts so much for the community and for all of us, because Rick was a good guy. People loved him. Rick went to work last Tuesday like normal, like all first responders do, not knowing that would be his end of watch. None of us ever will. His family certainly didn't know. But in a matter of seconds, many lives were forever changed. But that's the risk we take. That's the risk our families take. And all first responders, no matter what role you play, whether it's the sheriff, the police department, fire, detention, or medics, they choose this life of sacrifice because it's a calling to something greater than ourselves. It's our duty, it's our honor, and it is our privilege to serve this way. We do it for many reasons, but we do it for love of country. You see, everything we know about our way of life in America requires the public to be safe. It requires first responders to answer the call, to respond quickly, and work tirelessly to enforce the rule of law. It requires our 911 operators to answer the phone, to be patient, calm, and decisive in the face of stress and at times extreme heartbreak, like Tuesday. And when the bullet of a cold-blooded murderer ended Rick's life, public safety agencies from all over answered the call. Many of you in this room rushed to the scene to try to save him at grave risk to yourselves. You didn't know the location of the shooter, and you didn't know what he was armed with. But I knew you would do it because I know you, and I know your hearts. Many more responded to eventually end this incident peacefully without any more officers or deputies being hurt, and I've never been more proud of a group of people in my life. Rick would have been as well. The response to this tragedy has been overwhelming, and on behalf of myself, my wife April, this agency, Kim, and the Lopez family, we're so incredibly grateful. So as I was considering all the lessons in life that we learned from Arlo, the lessons in his death are even more profound. You see, Rick understood his unique position in the community. He was keenly aware of this undeniable truth, and that is this: ours is the business of people. Ours is the business of leadership. The weight, power, and influence that comes with the badge he wore and that all of you wear, the patch on his shoulder and the flag on his chest was not lost on him. He could see the sparkle in a child's eye looking up to him, and he went out of his way to use it for good and for their own benefit. And he built relationships and created influence one step at a time. And through this, through his life, he taught us, if we're listening and we're paying attention, he taught us that we are servants of the community. They are not servants of us. Our authority and influence is an extension of the community. They must trust us and we must trust them. Without their approval, we have no authority. Relationships are built every day, piece by piece. And the smallest acts of random kindness sometimes have the biggest impact that you will never know. He taught us to love what we do, to build people up and not tear them down. He taught us to love our families and make time for them, and he taught us to love and not hate. He taught us to be humble. During the procession back from Phoenix, we're driving and it's pouring rain, and there are a few thousand people lining the streets in the pouring rain with their flags, with their families out there to pay respect. And Kim told me Rick would be so incredibly embarrassed by all of that. He would be embarrassed by all of this because he never sought favor. He taught us a purpose-driven life is a life well lived. The community are the police, and the police are the community. And he taught us to love America. Faith, family, and friends were the most important things to him. And to approach life with clear eyes and an open heart. And finally, he taught us this: children, and this is important to remember, children often see the men and women in uniform with a view that is undimmed by the cynicism of adults that we often take for granted. They expect us to be fair. They expect us to be kind. They expect us to be authoritative. They expect us to be the protectors. They expect us to be the good guys. And in that lies an opportunity to change their lives, to lead them, to shape their view of the world and our beloved country. And Rick knew this, and he knew that they are the future of this nation and their communities. Be kind without expectation in return. And Rick will never know the many people he touched, but he didn't need to know, because he had faith that he was doing the right thing. He did it and he let it go without any expectation. I believe that Rick, Arlo, would implore all of us to live up to those lofty standards as we go forward. Remember his life. Not waste a single opportunity, and do everything we can to live up to the beliefs our children have in us, to be as great as they think we are. We do not have control over what has happened here. We do not have control over what has happened to Rick, but we do have control over how we respond. Rick Lopez lived and died a proud father, husband, community servant, and a proud American. May God bless Rick Lopez and the heroes we've lost, and love and watch over their survivors, and may He bless the United States of America. Thank you.
But I know several things about Arlo. One, he loved his family and his friends. He loved to serve the community of Yavapai County. He loved doing the job. And most of all, I know that if anybody needed help, he would come running.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Thank you. After our prayer, please remain seated for some closing remarks. But join me, please, if you would. Our Father in heaven, I know